What up, NFL Draft fans? You're watching Chat Sports, and you are on our NFL Draft channel. And happy Draft Day to everybody watching. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, we're going to recap the top 10 picks that have gone down. And we're going to give you some analysis, some thoughts, and I'll tell you how I'm feeling about these picks. And we'll talk about which ones we like the best and which ones that left us scratching our heads a little bit. Let's start with pick number 1. Bryce Young was selected number 1 overall by the Carolina Panthers. This was expected for quite some time, and I think deservedly so. Bryce Young is my number 1 quarterback in this class. I love his ability to create behind the line of scrimmage, not to run the football, but to throw the football. He's got some of that Steph Curry in him in a little bit. Just a total gamer, a guy that you want to play with, someone you respect, and someone that you can put the franchise on their back and trust him. He's not going to get in trouble. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be a good face in the community. He's a damn good football player, too. 64+% completion percentage last year, 32 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions. This is what Dane Brugler over on The Athletic had to say about him. He said, Young is a size outlier. He will be the smallest quarterback in the NFL the moment he is drafted with average arm power. But he is a natural passer, with an instinctive feel for throw location and play extension. Despite limited physical traits, he has the high-end intangibles and talent required to be an impact starter. That's what I think he will be. He is a great pick for the Carolina Panthers. We went QB number 1, and then they went QB number 2. The Houston Texans selected C.J. Stroud out of the Ohio State. And I thought this was an A-plus pick for the new regime led by DeMeco Ryans down in H-Town. I think C.J. Stroud is the best pure thrower of the football in this class. And I know there's a lot more to playing quarterback than just throwing a pretty football, but man, does he make it look easy. And that's what he did in Columbus the past 2 years. 41 touchdowns this past year, just 6 interceptions. I think he's a gamer. I think he's someone that you can win a lot of games with. People question the S2 test and the processing. You know what test I like that he passed? The one against the Georgia Bulldogs in the college football playoff where he lit them up and showed that he is an elite quarterback. That's what he's going to be for the Houston Texans. This is what Brugler said about Stroud. He said Stroud must become more comfortable embracing his athleticism and escapability, but he is an outstanding rhythm passer with touch, pacing, and ball speed control to carve up the defense. His passing skills give him an encouraging floor as an NFL starter. I think he's going to be a good starting quarterback. I get kind of a Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott kind of three-way with C.J. Stroud. The Texans, they made a great pick at number 2. We'll break down what they did at number 3 here in a second. But if you want more NFL draft content all weekend long, and you want to stay up to date year-round with NFL draft coverage and mock drafts and player analysis, we're probably going to have the first 2024 mock draft out on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/@chatnfl. Draft coverage all day, every day. Hit that sub button. Pick number 3 was on the clock for the Arizona Cardinals, but a trade happened, and it was the first trade of the NFL draft. The Houston Texans moved up from just outside the top 10 to number 3, and they got their quarterback at number 2. Maybe now they have the quarterback of the defense in Will Anderson, the edge rusher out of Alabama. There was a lot of smoke around Anderson and the Texans. Supposedly he was the number 1 player on their board. They found a way to get him, as well as landing their future franchise quarterback. The Texans are the early winners of the draft. Will Anderson, I think, is the most complete edge rusher in this class. He can get after the quarterback. He showed you that with 10 sacks. He had 17 tackles for loss. He can also defend the run. A really big guy, 6'3.5", 253 pounds. He was a junior this past year at Chat Sports. We had him as our number 1 edge rusher and the number 1 player in the class. What a pickup for DeMeco Ryans. He's going to have a lot of fun using Will Anderson as a chess piece. The Texans off to a really good start in the 2023 NFL Draft. And this may have been the first shocker of the draft. An AFC South rival for the Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, get their quarterback of the future. Anthony Richardson goes number 4 overall to the Indianapolis Colts. And there's a lot of mixed feelings about Anthony Richardson, but one thing you cannot deny is he's got the physical tools. He's got the strongest arm in the draft. He's the best runner in the draft, and he's like a running back. He's powerful, and he can wear down a defense. Just 17 touchdowns this year, 9 interceptions, a completion percentage of just under 54. He has to become a more refined passer, no doubt about it. He just needs more reps. He didn't play that much for Florida last year. But with the coaching staff in Indianapolis, they clearly saw that he had all the boxes checked. Athleticism, arm strength, just the dude is a gamer. He's a big-time player. The question is, can he put it all together? I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a damn good football player, and I like the situation he's going to over in Indianapolis, Richardson, along with Jonathan Taylor, that could be one of the best rushing backfields in the National Football League. I do want to ask you guys this question as we still got 6 more picks to get to. What's been your favorite pick so far? There's a couple I think that you could go with. The Will Anderson one at 3 was pretty damn good. But let me know what you think. What's been your favorite pick so far? We had a shocker at pick number 4, and I would say we had a shocker at pick number 5, and that is Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois. He goes to the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of people thought that Jalen Carter was going to be the 5th pick to the Seattle Seahawks, but they went with another defensive playmaker in Witherspoon, who was my number 1 corner in this class. I like the physicality that he plays with. I like that he can play in the slot. I like that he can play outside. I like how he's a really handsy defender in coverage. Had 14 pass breakups this past year, 3 interceptions, and now he enters a loaded secondary for the Seattle Seahawks. They took 2 guys in the NFL draft last year that were really good in their rookie years in Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen, Now you got 3 young blue chip prospects in that secondary. I wouldn't be surprised if Witherspoon is kind of their nickel because he can do more so than I think the other 2 guys on this roster. Not the best athlete in the world, but he makes up for it with his competitive level. The dude likes to compete, and he's a hell of a football player. The 12s over there in Seattle, they're going to be really happy about this one. We had another trade with the 6th overall pick, the Detroit Lions. They traded out of the top 10, and after the Arizona Cardinals moved out of the 3rd spot, they moved up to the 6th spot, and they selected Paris Johnson Jr., the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Pretty much everybody had him as the number 1 tackle in this class. And if you've watched Arizona Cardinal football over the past couple of years, I think it's safe to say that Kyler Murray is tired of running for his life. And when you get Paris Johnson on this offensive line, that's definitely going to help Kyler Murray in the pocket. He needs some polish, but has the traits and production to succeed in the NFL. He's a quality athlete with great size and length. His hand usage needs growth, and that will come with reps and coaching in the National Football League, but it didn't hurt him much at Ohio State because he was a bigger, stronger, faster athlete. Needs to become more refined as a pass blocker, but I believe in Arizona, he has a great home, and he gets to block for a good QB that's going to be coming off a serious injury. The Las Vegas Raiders were on the clock with pick number 7, and they selected the freak of an edge rusher, Tyree Wilson, out of Texas Tech. This dude is one of the most intriguing prospects to me because of just the blend of size and speed, the athleticism. He is great in the run game. He's a good pass rusher, coming off an injury that he's definitely going to be nursing during this offseason, going to be ready to go, but he's the number 2 edge rusher in this class. He only has 1 career batted ball despite the length, so I feel like he needs to use that body and learn how to play with his size a little bit more, but massive size and wingspan with burst and power off the snap. Still more traits that need polish at this point, but the traits are so enticing. When you look at this dude, you think he could be a generational pass rusher, and that's what the Las Vegas Raiders are hoping they got with pick number 7. Pick number 8 rolled around, and the Atlanta Falcons selected an offensive weapon for their young football team, and they selected Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas, the number 1 running back in this class. Some people had him as a top 5 player in this class, and deservedly so. Almost 1,600 yards last year, 18 touchdowns, and 6.1 yards per pop. A little bit weird of a pick. Obviously, there was a lot of rumors that linked Bijan to the Falcons, but they had a 1,000-yard rusher last year that was selected in the 5th round. But anytime you can get an explosive playmaker on offense, you do it. I question about taking a running back in the top 10 after you've seen some, I wouldn't say not worked out, but with Barkley and Zeke, maybe didn't live up to the hype, but Bijan, he's just as special as those guys. And the Dirty Birds down in the ATL, they got a special running back, Bijan Robinson. Number 9, we had another trade, a lot of trades here early on in the NFL draft. The Chicago Bears were slated to pick number 9, but they moved back one pick, and then the Eagles jump-frogged them, and they picked up another Georgia Bulldog, Jalen Carter. A lot of people had him as the best football player in this class. Had some stuff off the field that probably scared away a couple of teams. Everybody knows the incidents that happened. But man, if you just watch the tape, what he did this year and last year, he is the most physically imposing threat in this class and has the potential, I think, to one day be a Hall of Famer if he can stay on the football field, not get in trouble. Not saying that that's something that's I'm worried about, but definitely something teams have thought about with his past history. But man, on the football field, in between the white lines, this dude is a game wrecker. He wreaks havoc, and he's going to be a part of a a Philadelphia Eagle defensive line that has a whole bunch of size and a whole bunch of talent. To close out the top 10, the Chicago Bears, after trading down from 9 to 10, they selected the offensive tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. Over here at Chat Sports, we had him as the 4th offensive tackle, the 22 overall player on our big board. And he took a big jump forward in 2022 with a decrease in penalties as well. Great size and physicality and pass protection. Not the run blocker you'd expect given his athletic tools, but a guy that I think is not even scratching the surface of the player he can be. He had some really big games in the SEC last year, did a good job against Will Anderson. I think this one might have been a little bit of a reach, but it fills a need for the Chicago Bears. They got to protect Justin Fields, and they got that guy, hopefully, with pick number 10. I want to end the show with this question right here. And this won't be the only video we do on today's show. We wanted to recap the top 10 for all the real ones out there. Which team won the top 10 this year? Of the teams that picked in the top 10, who did the best job? I think it's got to be the Houston Texans walking away with C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. But sound off for me down in the comments section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you later.